have done considerable research into what makes good teachers. And one of the things that we have found is that the best way to learn how to teach is to stand beside teachers who are teaching and to assist them and to observe them and to then imitate what we see as good practices. So our program includes approximately 100 hours of field experience before going into our student teaching practice. And so if we consider that, plus the 10 full weeks of student teaching, our teacher candidates get considerable field experience. So we got a little panel put together this morning to show you and to tell you what this is all about from the very beginning. And some of our students are first-year students when they begin their first field experience. And then our field experiences move all the way up to student teaching. So we have some representatives who will carry you right through from the beginning to the end. And I think that our student teachers would like to talk right from the table, but we're going to try that. And if you can hear them, that's fine. If you can't, just raise your hand and they'll come right up to the podium and give their piece. All right? So we're going to start. I would like to introduce the panel first of all. And we have first of all on the left, your right, but my left. We have John Snow, and John is a mathematics major. He is anticipating teaching mathematics, and he is in our very first, our elementary exploratory education program called Orientation to Schools, and attached to that is a 40-hour field experience. And John is just going to give you a very brief insight into what happens there. And next to John is Jennifer Snow, who also is a mathematics major. And Jennifer is moving right along in her program. And so she has been through a course in which we learn how to teach literacy skills throughout all different content areas, including mathematics. So Jen is going to give us a little insight into her experience in that area. And then next to Jen is Casey Ellis, and Casey is an English major, and she is doing some work in special education right now, as well as attached to her methods course. And then next to Casey is Jennifer Kordek, and Jennifer has already completed her student teaching. She's just about ready to go as soon as she graduates in May. And so Jen will kind of just how all of this culminates in the experience of student teaching. So, I apologize, I seem to be looking at this part of the audience, and there's a wonderful audience over there, and if you would like to move over, you're welcome, if you find any difficulty in hearing or seeing. So just move around as you feel comfortable so that you get the full experience in this. All right, thanks. And so let's start with John, and I think maybe it would be better for you to use the mic, John, if you don't mind, because we really have a larger room here.
Hello. Through this semester, I've just had the opportunity to do some observing in some math classes at Hampton High. And one thing I've just experienced through just observing some teachers is a teacher cannot just teach to students. They really have to interact and communicate to students so that they can, so the students can effectively learn. I've seen teachers doing this with just asking students a bunch of questions if they understand a certain math problem. Also, just when a teacher is doing maybe a certain math problem on the board, you'll have the whole class participate in working together step by step through the process of working out the math problem. I've also seen how a teacher has to have a positive and fun environment for the students. And different ways, seeing how teachers have used maybe some different PowerPoints with math problems, maybe gotten stuff off of the internet, and how just to see how the students have better communicated something to that. Also, I've seen how teachers have used different techniques to get students more determined in doing their homework. I've seen how, like, if a teacher assigns homework the night before, and then the next, in the class in the morning, I'll say, okay, well, I'll have these students write homework problem 1, 2, and 3, and I'll have these certain students do number 4 and 5, so on the whiteboard. It just kind of gives the students an opportunity just to kind of be more determined and confident in what they're doing. So those are just a few of the things that I've learned and have just experienced, so that I can be hopefully a better teacher and teach math to students.
Last semester, I had an internship at Hampton Middle School, and one of the programs I worked with was the SAIL program. And this basically consists of 8th graders who are above average, and it's a tutoring program. It's really, really good. For about each one's like a class period, so it's about 43 minutes. So about the first 15 to 20 minutes, the teacher will give a lesson, and usually it's something like in writing or in memorization skills, something that they can take and use for all their other classes, which is really good. During the remaining period, then I would be tutoring the students individually in mathematics. And we would incorporate literacy skills with mathematics. For example, with some of the homework problems, the teacher would have them write their answer in a sentence. So they would also not only have to know the mathematical concept, but they would have to have proper grammar, sentence structure, spelling, and we would work on that. Another thing is sometimes the teacher would have them write a paragraph on a mathematical concept. So that way they would have to know the mathematical concept, but they would also have to know their proper terminology. It was very good. Probably one of my favorite examples would be the professor would have take a notebook piece of paper and fold it in half. And then on the left side, they would work out the math problem. And usually this would be one that would take several steps. And it would be quite long. And then on the right side, they would have to explain in their own words each step that they took. So when I was helping tutor them, I could see which areas they would need help in. Because often the student would understand the mechanical steps of the math, but they didn't understand what they were doing. So when they would write it out in words, then I could see, okay, this is what we need to work on. Overall, I found the program very good, very rewarding. I enjoyed tutoring it very much. If you need any help or any questions, I'll be back afterwards.
I'll just stay up here. I'll save my projection for the English club, which is after this, by the way. I feel bad I didn't prepare a lengthy speech like this knows, but I'll just be speaking a little briefly about what I consider to be the most helpful course I've taken thus far in this department, which is Curriculum and Methods of Teaching, which I'm actually enrolled in this semester. During the course, it's only once a week. My peers, and there's a few in the room, we have not just one, but 4 instructors, each currently teaching at Hampton High School. Each week, the teachers alternate for a 2-hour seminar, during which they provide extremely helpful advice about lesson planning, classroom management, assessments, and technology in the classroom, just to name a few. And I think that having high school teachers come to Albertus and teach us about teaching is really wonderful and helpful because truthfully, I think they know more than anyone how to conduct in a high school English classroom. They do it every day. And so I think that for this particular course, their help has been much appreciated. And I think that their advice will definitely carry through once I start student teaching. And once I become a full-fledged teacher, hopefully I can use their advice even further. Additionally, there's a requirement to complete 15 hours of field observation. Most education classes require you to do a little bit of field work, which John and Jennifer have talked about. And I've been fortunate enough to observe a fantastic English teacher who works at New Haven Academy, which is down the street on Orange Street. And I've only just begun the field experience, but I already feel as though I've learned so much. Observing local teachers is, without question, the best way to learn about the do's and don'ts of teaching. While I realize that I have far more to learn, I look forward to it. I know I'm in very good hands. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kordek. I successfully completed my student teaching. Congrats to me. It is a big deal because after listening to the presenters and going back in my memory of what I've done, what I've gone to get here, the courses, the observation hours, observing, it's a lot. It's a lot to do, and in the student teaching practicum, it's a one-week course, which actually takes everything you've ever learned here at Albertus through your education courses and it makes you apply them in your practicum observations that you talk with Dr. Bandito and Mr. Draco, who is also a participant in the program. You talk on a weekly basis with our 2 advisors, and then there are other candidates in the class. Through this time with your other candidates, you kind of bounce ideas off of each other, how you're going to get student teaching started, what you do after you've gotten it started, the initiation process, what pros and cons do you have, what can you share with me, what worked for you, what you did last week in your history course, what worked for you in your math course last week, what can help me continue on my student teaching effectively. And through that practicum, we take what we learned that week, say it's applications and technology, or it's certain grading processes, learning how CMTs work, learning how CAP works. You take that and you can apply it into your lesson plans for the next week. So every week we would go in and we would talk about our lesson plan, what we're talking about for the week. We could apply it physically to our lesson plan and be able to mold our classes that we were teaching. So at Lyman Hall, where I was student teaching, I would be able to take my lesson plans for that week and maybe modify them if I learned something that Dr. Bandito shared, or the other 2 candidates, Jen Pollack and Phil Brencher, they were in my class. So they would be able to help me, and I was able to help them with the experience that I had in the practicum. So over this 4 years, everything that they're learning now, it does help you get to this point. So, thank you.